The Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Kimmel beef seems to not be going anywhere after Aaron Rodgers kind of insinuated on the Pat McAfee show that Jimmy Kimmel didn't want the certain list to come out because, assuming he meant because Jimmy Kimmel might actually be on the list. And then Jimmy Kimmel actually threatened to sue Aaron Rodgers after his comments made on the Pat McAfee show. Now we have this article that came out a couple of days ago, and then we also have some other updates that are much more interesting than this one. ESPN issues apology for Aaron Rodgers' comments on Jimmy Kimmel on the Pat McAfee show. ESPN issued an apology Friday afternoon for the false comments New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers made on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week about late night host Jimmy Kimmel. Through ESPN Vice President of Digital Production Mike Foss, the network called the comments Rodgers made about Kimmel in relation to the release of the certain court documents a dumb and factually incorrect joke. It should never have happened, Foss said in a statement obtained by USA Today Sports. We all realized that in the moment. Front Office Sports first reported the ESPN apology. McAfee said Friday that Rodgers will appear on the next show next Tuesday. I don't understand why ESPN is apologizing for Aaron Rodgers talking about Jimmy Kimmel when Aaron Rodgers is not an ESPN employee. It was an interview that they do on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday or so. I think it's every week that they do it. I don't understand why ESPN is apologizing. I understand that it aired on ESPN, but I don't know why ESPN is apologizing for someone who's not an ESPN employee. Like, I don't really get that. Unless they're just trying to cover their ass for, like, legal reasons. I'm not really sure. The show will continue to evolve, Foss told FOS. It wouldn't surprise me if Aaron's role evolves with it. Kimmel took to social media Tuesday night to blast Rodgers and say he never had any contact with that certain person who died by, we're not reading that part. Earlier that day, McAfee co-host AJ Hawk egged Rodgers on about the potential release of the court documents, to which the 40-year-old quarterback responded, "There's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, who are hoping that doesn't come out. If that list comes out, I will definitely be popping some sort of bottles." The situation created internal strife at ESPN parent company Disney, which also owns ABC, where Jimmy Kimmel Live airs. Yeah, I mean, it created certain strife, not just because of Aaron Rodgers' comments about Jimmy Kimmel, but also because the list actually came out. So that's why Disney's so worried right now. Rodgers is paid $1 million annually for his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show, according to reports. On Wednesday, McAfee offered a half-hearted apology, saying he hopes his show is a positive one that uplifts people. And here's a tweet from Colin Rugg providing an update on the situation. New: quarterback Aaron Rodgers has just been named the Jets' most inspirational teammate just days after roasting Jimmy Kimmel on ESPN. Remarkable. While some are trying to cancel Aaron Rodgers, the Jets couldn't seem to care less. Most of these awards are not necessarily what's done on the football field. Aaron's presence, I've said it a million times, he loves his teammates. His teammates love him, said coach Robert Saleh. Rodgers was awarded for his resiliency with recovering from his Achilles injury. He's so intentional with how he approaches everyone in the building. He's very thoughtful in the way he does things, and he's a tremendous human. He really is, and well deserving of the award. Now, you have to think this probably isn't just about his injury. It probably isn't just about his recovery and how he treats his teammates and stuff like that. They know who Aaron Rodgers is outside of football as well. They have to know that they're trying to support him in the situation that he's in, with the Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Kimmel situation, with this cancellation of Aaron Rodgers situation. They have to know that that's part of it, right? Like, let me know if you agree with me in the comments. They have to think that that is part of it. Well, there's certain comments that he's made on ESPN, on the Pat McAfee show. Nobody else will give him a platform other than Pat McAfee. Then he comes on there and he's just like unapologetically himself. You have to think that they are taking that into consideration as well, kind of saying, not only are we inspired by the way that Aaron Rodgers tried to recover from his Achilles injury, but also we're inspired by the comments that Aaron Rodgers made about Jimmy Kimmel and about all the rest of the things that he says that everybody else is scared to say because they're not Aaron Rodgers. They're not, legendary quarterbacks that aren't going to get shunned from the NFL because they are a legendary quarterback. They're too scared to say what Aaron Rodgers says on ESPN. So you have to think that plays some kind of part in it. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments on that. This person says, never forget, and it's Jimmy Kimmel in blackface there. Aaron Rodgers is a real man. He doesn't back down to the mob. He speaks openly about his beliefs. And oh yeah, he flipped the bird to the gene therapy CV vaccine. Few people realize it, but Aaron Rodgers is a real inspiration for Americans who love this country. I mean, it's kind of true. I do think Aaron Rodgers kind of votes left, if I'm not mistaken, but at least he calls out a lot of the BS that most people out there are scared to call out. And I think he's probably, if not already, leaning more towards the right as the days go on. He's the Trump of the NFL. The more you try to cancel him, the more popular he becomes. Imagine the soy level required to be a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I've never in my life met a Jimmy Kimmel fan, to be quite honest with you. Let me know in the comments if you've ever met a Jimmy Kimmel fan in your life, because I have never met a Jimmy Kimmel fan ever. Like, what are you a fan of if you're a Jimmy Kimmel fan? He's not funny. He's not entertaining. He's literally there, like, who knows why he's there? It's the same reason why The View is still airing. Nobody watches The View. It's just a psychological operation, I guess. It's the only thing that I can think of. They're just trying to program us by putting these people, propping these people up, giving them a platform. I don't understand it. Jimmy Kimmel does not treat women with respect. That's a fact. Aaron Rodgers has been named the Jets' most inspirational player this season by his teammates. Given that the outrage mob is out to get him because he made a joke about Jimmy Kimmel, the timing couldn't be more perfect. I don't think it's just, a coincidence. I think his teammates are seeing what he's saying on social media and on ESPN and TV, and they agree with him. At least the vast majority of them. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been afraid of the outrage mob. That's a leader. New York Jets to Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, it's almost like Aaron Rodgers isn't the evil person that media paints him out to be. I'm shocked that the media lies about someone. Sarcasm. So I thought it was pretty funny that Aaron Rodgers won the most inspirational teammate of the New York Jets right after he called out Jimmy Kimmel, right after Jimmy Kimmel threatened to sue him because he's panicking about that certain list coming out soon, is what I think is going on. Let me know what you're thinking about the whole situation, about Aaron Rodgers being named most inspirational teammate right after ESPN apologized for Aaron Rodgers' comments on Jimmy Kimmel threatening to sue Aaron Rodgers, all that stuff. Let me know what you're thinking about this whole Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Kimmel situation in the comments.